like to start the ceremony at this time. I'd like to turn over to Representative Josh Cutler. Josh?
All right,
Okay.
I don't think Bob's ever given that short of an introduction, but but I'm pleased. Hey, thanks everybody for coming and joining us. Thank you. A couple of housekeeping items, and then we'll get to our main attraction. I want to thank the folks here at the Hanson Senior Center, Mary Collins and the whole great crew for being our hostesses today. Thank you. It's a wonderful resource for the community. I wanted to also mention we have Whitman Hanson Community Access here, so we'll be live coming to you on your television soon, so thank you for joining us. Also wanted to give a shout out to the old Hitching Post here in Hanson, who provided the catering for our delicious lunch today, Andrea and the gang down there. So, it's a great job. So I think I know everyone in the room. There's a couple faces that were new, but hopefully we're all friends now. My name is Josh Cutler. I'm proud to be your state representative for here in Hanson, Pembroke, and Duxbury. And this is an event that we're very pleased that you could all join us for, an important event, and it falls on an opportune day. It's Flag Day. Unfortunately, it falls right after a terrible tragedy in Orlando as well. So I think it's particularly appropriate that we are here today to talk, to thank, to honor, and promote people who are our veterans, who are the first to try to help us in times of need. The people that run to the problem instead of running away from it. So all of you are those kind of people, and we're here today to thank you and also to talk about some new legislation that we think and hope will be a major help to many veterans in terms of when it comes to finding housing. So again, it's my honor to serve you. If you ever have a question, need help, please don't hesitate to call. We have a terrific veterans agent here in Bob Arsenault. We have great veterans agent Dave McPhillips in Pembroke and over in Hanson as well, over in Duxbury as well. They're here to help, but please feel free to call my office as well. My legislative aide, Matt Mariano. Matt, you want to raise your hand, is here as well. Matt's usually up. Oh, he gets a round of applause, but okay, all right. Very good. Matt is usually up at the State House, so when you do call, he's the one that would be the first line to help you. And we really do want to be a resource, so please don't be shy. I'm a nice guy, I don't bite, so thank you. So without further ado, I wanted to introduce a great friend of mine who's a terrific colleague to work with. Representative Jerald Parisella is a representative who hails from Beverly, and he came all the way down here. It took a couple hours of traffic for him to come down, so we're very appreciative. And Representative Parisella is the chairman of the Committee on Veterans and Federal Affairs, which is an important committee up at the State House. And any kind of veterans issues run through his committee. And in his chairmanship and in the time that he's been serving, there's been some major veterans legislation that we've helped to advance. And it's really primarily because of Jerry's efforts. Last year, we talked about the Valor Act 2. This year, we have a bill that was passed that Jerry's going to talk about called the Home Act that helps veterans when it comes to housing options. So we're very pleased to have Chairman Parisella here. He himself is a veteran, is a major. I demoted him earlier and called him a captain, which, my apologies. He's a major in the Army Reserves and a JAG officer. So we're very pleased, and please give a warm welcome to Representative Jerald Parisella.
Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing?
Great.
Good. Well, thanks, Josh, very much for inviting me. Josh and I sit next to each other in the House chamber, so we're always chatting with each other. And you have a #1 advocate for your veterans and for your towns. He does a great job, and it's an honor to serve with him. I appreciate the pasta. My last name is Parisella, so I appreciate you hooking up the Italian guy with some pasta. That was good. So as Josh said, I'm the chairman of the Veterans Committee, so we deal with all issues regarding veterans matters at the state level. So you can't blame us for the VA and the backlog and all that. That's federal, but we do try to help as many veterans as we can. You know, they will call us occasionally with VA issues, so we do the best that we can. One other thing, do we have any Army veterans here? You guys know what today is? It's Flag Day, right? It's also the Army birthday. 241st birthday of the Army. Yeah, 1775, General Washington forming the Army. So it's Flag Day and the birthday of the Army. I'm an Army guy myself. Josh just wanted me to quickly give a little background. I've been in the Army Reserves for 22 years. I did a crazy thing at age 30 and went off to boot camp, and yeah, And then actually, it was one of those things that it was sort of like now or never in my life. If I didn't do it then, I wasn't going to do it. So I was enlisted for like 8 years, and then I got my commission as an officer. I had my law degree. So I got elected in 2010. And then on November 30th, 2010, then the election was November 5th, and then November 30th, 2010, I got orders that I was going to deploy to Iraq. So I spent my first year as a state rep in Baghdad. So the Boston Herald wanted to put in the front page of the paper, Jerald Parisella, D. Baghdad. But it was an interesting time. You know, fortunately, with modern communication, I could keep track with what was going on at the State House. I could Skype, make phone calls. It was a 7-hour time difference, so when it was like 7 p.m. there, it was noon back here, so I could call the office, check in. I remember calling the mayor of Beverly and saying, how's things going with the MBTA parking garage that we're working on? He's like, is this Jerry? But you know, you could make phone calls using my computer and stuff, so it was an interesting first year. But I've enjoyed the job, and I got appointed chairman of the Veterans Committee for this session, and it's an honor to serve that position. So as Josh mentioned, we got some legislation that we've passed the last 2 years I would like to talk to you about. It's called the Home Act. And as you may know, we've got 2 soldiers' homes in Massachusetts. We've got one in Holyoke and one in Chelsea. And they've been serving veterans for over 100 years. They're great facilities. Everybody that I talk to that are served there really like the facilities. The problem is, like I said, they're over 100 years old, and so they don't really meet the standards of a modern facility. So part of this legislation is to create an Office of State Veterans Homes and Housing, and we're going to have a person be in charge of overseeing the soldiers' homes to make sure that they comply with the latest standards of care. Unfortunately, right now we've got veterans living there who some of them are in like these 20-person open bay barracks. When I walked through there, I felt like I was back in basic training again. And our veterans really should be having better facilities. No more than 4 per room is the standard. And we get a 65% reimbursement from the VA. And they keep telling us, you guys need to do a better job. You need to upgrade that. So we're going to make sure that we do that. We want to make sure that we take care of our veterans. Another part of the legislation is we are going to have veterans receive an absolute preference for all public housing. Right now it's sort of scattershot in the community. Some communities do it, some communities don't. So if you're a veteran and you want to go to public housing, if all things are equal and you're a veteran, you'll get a preference for that. We think it's only fair. There was veterans housing built after World War II, but there really hasn't been much done since then. So this will open up perhaps 10,000 units of housing throughout the state that veterans will get a preference for. So we think that, yeah. Another quirk about public housing is if you're a 100% disabled veteran, you actually might make too much money to qualify for public housing. Depending on your status, let's say you've got kids or a wife or something, let's just say you get $36,000, something like that. You'll actually make too much money to qualify. So part of this bill is we're going to exempt anything over $1,800 from the qualification. So that way, any 100% disabled veteran will have the opportunity to get public housing. They won't meet the income threshold. They'll be able to qualify for that. Again, there's some communities that do that, some that don't. We want to make sure that it's uniform throughout the state. It just makes no sense that you're a 100% disabled veteran, you can't work, and you can't qualify for public housing. So to me, that made a lot of sense. We've got a couple scholarships that we offer. One is for any child of a POW. This was enacted back during the Vietnam era, and the language in the bill actually still talks about service in Southeast Asia. So it didn't reflect any current conflict. So what this would do is this would encompass any child of any POW or somebody missing in action. They can get a public service scholarship, so essentially they get to go to state school for free. So we think that's only makes sense. If you're a spouse of a military member who died in combat or died in a Gold Star spouse, for example, we're going to expand the eligibility so that they will get a tax exemption for their real estate. And it doesn't cost Hanson or any other community money because it's all reimbursed by the state. So it's not one of those, they call them unfunded mandates, where we're just telling the towns to do something, where the state will pick up the tab for that. So we wanted to make sure that we expanded that. We're also expanding a tax exemption for blind veterans. They weren't part of that. We just felt it was appropriate to do that. We're also updating our anti-discrimination laws. It's called Chapter 151B. So it's against the law to discriminate against somebody for their race, for their gender, things like that. We're going to add veteran status to that. Sometimes there's a preconceived notion, unfortunately, that, you know, someone served in the military, do they have PTSD, should we hire them, shouldn't we hire them, things like that. Well, that's not appropriate, we think. So we're going to actually make veteran status a protected status, just like race, gender, so they can't discriminate against you. Currently, under the law, if you're in the National Guard or the Reserve and you get deployed, you get protected. But if you're a veteran and out of the Guard and Reserve, you're not protected. So we're going to be one of the few states that are going to make veteran status a protected class. So we felt that was important. Also in Massachusetts, if you wanted to get a civil service job, if you're a Medal of Honor recipient or Distinguished Service Cross, you actually don't have to take the civil service exam. So you'd go like right to the top of the list to be a police officer or firefighter. Very few of those. I believe there's only 2 Medal of Honor recipients living in Massachusetts, and they're in their 80s, 75, 85 years old. One's from Korea, both of them from Korea. So what we're going to add is the Silver Star. It's a very difficult medal to receive. It's for heroism, but we felt it appropriate to add that to that as well. So if somebody had served honorably, received the Silver Star, it's the 3rd highest medal for valor, then they shouldn't have to take the civil service exam. And there's also been an issue with people like myself. I'm a reservist. The Guard and Reserve, like a lot of them are police and firefighters, and the law gives them 2 weeks of paid leave to do their duty. But the law was written a long time ago, and the language in the law essentially says that if you're going on annual training, then you can get paid leave. Well, nowadays, people go away for two days or 3 days or a week. And some of the towns and cities were saying, well, that's not annual training, that doesn't count. They're sort of reading the law too literally. So basically what we're just going to say is any military duty, you know, you're going to get 17 days of paid leave. So it clarifies that. We were hearing from a lot of police and firefighters who work odd hours because maybe their weekend drills are on a Saturday and Sunday and they were supposed to work as a firefighter or a police officer on the weekend. So that clarifies that for them. So I thought that made a lot of sense. Last session, we passed the Stolen Valor Act. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. So what that does is that actually makes it a crime for anybody to impersonate a veteran or an active duty soldier, airman, Marine. It's amazing. You just go on like YouTube or go on the internet, and I showed this to members of the legislature when I was talking about the bill. You had this guy walking around, you know, wearing a uniform at the mall, getting all these discounts, saying he served in the military. So a real Army Ranger went up to him and said, "Oh, you're an Army Ranger, huh? You know, where did you serve?" And the guy starts making up stuff about, you know, "Oh, I was at Fort Wachusett in Tennessee." And he's like, "Well, that's not in Tennessee." "Well, why is your flag on that side of the uniform? It's supposed to be on that side." And the guy's like, "Oh, blah, blah, blah." You know, he just couldn't answer the question. So he got called out. So if anyone tries to financially gain from impersonating that they're a veteran or in the military, then it's we're making that a crime. We're also, as Bob knows, like we're trying to, you get some VSOs that do a great job, some that are learning the craft. So what we're doing is there's a training program for VSOs to standardize training so that they're up to date on all the latest benefits that veterans are eligible for. How's that work? Do you think that's been
It's very good. Matter of fact, veterans agents now have become certified. And what the certification is basically it's a 4-day course, and you take an exam at the end of the 4-day course. And it's just like you're being certified as an electrician or a plumber or what have you. Now you're duly credentialed to handle veteran situations that come in, both the state level and the federal level. And it's, I think it's great. It's a long time coming and what have you. And what it does, it gives a level playing field. It gives the local veterans agents an opportunity to network through the systems. I think it's well worth it, what I have to say the least. And I think, I have to say thank you also the representatives and what have you, because this came about 3 years ago, what have you. It was talking about it, what have you, because as Jerry said, there was different levels of the agents out there. So now this comprehensive training gives you what have the state gives you, which is mandated, and you're certified and tested at the end of it. It's one of these situations, as I said, a long time coming, but I think it's well worth it.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Bob.
you very much, Bob.
Yeah, no, it's great because as you may or may not know, like in Massachusetts, every city and town has to have a veteran service officer. And we're one of the few states that has that. I remember going to a conference and talking to somebody who lived in Nevada, and in Clark County is the Las Vegas area, and basically they said they have like one veterans agent for Clark County, which is essentially 1 million people, and it's just about impossible to get a hold of the person. And so we're very fortunate in Massachusetts to have where you can go to your city hall, your town hall, and have someone like Bob that can take care of you. And it's really helpful for us as reps when we get calls about veterans issues. We can pick up the phone and have somebody who can really help us out. In Massachusetts, we also have what is called the Welcome Home bonus, and right now it's $1,000. So if you deploy to Iraq, Afghanistan, overseas, you get $1,000 when you come back. So all of a sudden, I had it's monitored by and run by the state treasurer's office. So I remember Steve Grossman, who was the treasurer at the time, said, "Hey Jerry, welcome back from Iraq. It's great to have you. Did you know that you're going to get $1,000?" And I was like, "Oh, that's great." So you just fill out a little application. It's tax-free, and it goes back to, I think, World War II. So if any of you folks deployed and have not gotten that welcome home, there is not. And so you can, you might get some money. So yeah, just you should look into that. Yes, sir.
When I got out of being deployed over in Germany, I got a $500 bonus.
Yeah.
Can I collect another $500?
Yeah, sorry, we went up after that, but you can try. But yeah, I think it might have been like $100 after World War II. It's gone up incrementally, but I'm glad you got your 500. But I made a call for a World War II veteran, and they actually had his information, and they said, "Oh yeah, Henry did get his $300 back in this date," so they can go back and look and see, if anyone's done that. And last thing I'll talk about is in Massachusetts, we started these specialty courts, like drug courts and gun courts, and now we've got veterans courts. And I've been to a number of them. For example, there's one in Dedham, there's one in Lawrence, there's one at the Boston Municipal Court. And what they do is they'll evaluate the person who got arrested and find out that they're a veteran, because we changed the law. Now, whenever you get arrested, the first thing you do is you have to meet with a probation officer, and they have a checklist of things like, are you working, where do you live, are you married? So we added, are you a veteran, to that checklist. We didn't do that before. So then that will go to the DA's office and the clerk and so forth, and they'll look and say, hey, let's see if this veteran qualifies for this alternative program. So instead of getting arraigned and charged, what they'll basically do is say, listen, if you complete this program and successfully complete it, they'll have a graduation and everything, and then you won't have a criminal record. And there's VA representatives there, there's people from the State Department of Veteran Services, there are peer support people that are there. In Boston, the judge is a Navy veteran. In Lawrence, Judge Gaffney is an Army veteran. I actually served with him in my reserve unit, great guy. So I think there's a recognition now that perhaps the reason that somebody committed this crime could have been because of their deployment. Maybe there was dependency issues, PTSD or something like that. So instead of straddling them with a record, we're making sure that they get the services that they need. It's been really successful. We're going to try to expand it elsewhere. And I think it's really worked well. So it's been an honor to serve with Josh and to serve in the legislature and to serve as chairman of the Veterans Committee, and I'd be happy to take any questions if you had any. Yes, ma'am.
There's one thing I'd like to make a point of. It's not so much the Massachusetts veterans, but you got to do something with the because you have people that have retired a long time ago. And even if they're in housing, they get that little bit of social security, and it is gone. They go for food stamps, and they don't qualify because they make $100 or $200 more. And a lot of men, they'll go without, even if they're a veteran, because they're proud. And they have this feeling. There's a lot more out there that need it more than me. So I think Massachusetts, as far as the veterans, are doing a lot. But it has to be a federal effort now to give back a little more to the veterans. And, so that's just my feeling, and passing it on to you, too.
All right, thank you. And I agree. I mean, I think, like you said, there are a lot of veterans who just don't even go. They say, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to talk to Bob, or say they're too proud, but they should. Any of you veterans here, or other veterans, don't be afraid to just talk and find out if there's a veterans benefits available. Massachusetts does things that the federal government doesn't do, like Chapter 115 benefits if you're facing financial difficulty, things like that. Just important to find out, and spouses can be eligible for some of this stuff too. So don't be afraid to ask. Thank you.
Do they have any assistance available through the state for mortgages for, say, first-time home buyers that are veterans?
Yeah, the Mass Housing Finance Agency does. They do have that. And also, part of the Chapter 115 benefits, if someone's falling behind in rent or their mortgage, they're having difficulty, they can pay a certain portion of that to help a veteran if they're falling behind.
And their VSO person would be...
Yeah.
Now, in relationship to that, if I may add a little, any type veteran has a hardship, he can go to his local veterans agent, okay, whether it be a heating system, whether it be plumbing, falling behind in arrears or mortgages. There are statutes in there and the regulation which we can help the veterans out, okay? And many times that people aren't cognizant of this here. And what the Veterans Chapter 115 is, this is a guide to the local veterans agents. What we try to do is tailor the guides to that particular situation. And as mortgage arrears, I have helped people on arrears, and it was up to the tune of $3,000. That's by the state statute.
Yeah, that's something that I actually had the city treasurer ask me about in Beverly, saying, I get somebody saying that they want to get help, and can we legally do that? And I sent them the mass reg saying, yeah, we can do that. And so, it's really important to spread the word about that.
Excuse me, if I may add something else. So Lorraine, we were talking about food stamps,
Yes.
what have you. Okay, it started about 3 years ago. Veteran Services is partnering with the Boston Food Bank, and they come up with regional food bank distribution centers. Okay, it happens about 4 times a year, and the regional one around here is the Brockton VA Hospital. I do put out flyers on it. I do put out the PA to the local newspapers and what have you. So that's an avenue veterans can utilize for food. All they have to show is the discharge paper, the DD-14. Go over there, and let me tell you, they come out with almost a half a dozen or 6 to 8 bags worth of produce. Yeah. Thank you.
Question over here?
Great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you all for your service to our country. Very much appreciate it, and thanks for having me here. Thank you.
If I might say something, okay. Your local representatives are a local excellent resource, okay? And I work with Josh's aide, Matt, here on different issues. Different questions come up. I will see legislation in the paper, and I'll call Matt. Hey, what's going on with this one here? Okay. So Josh's office is an excellent resource. He has done an excellent job for the veterans locally. He's been able to answer questions. We've had worked on some legislation and what have you. So don't be afraid. Either use my office or go to Josh and say, hey, look, we have this situation here. What can we do about it? But there's a lot of information that is out there. And what I have to thank Mag very, very much. Josh's office brought down a handful of veteran services laws and benefits. This is published in May 2016. It's current as of May. The unfortunate part about it is these handbooks, both federal and state, as soon as they're published, they're obsolete because there's legislation in the hopper, okay? And some of it's going to be current this year.
People can get extra copies of that?
Pardon me?
People can get extra copies of that now?
Yes, I'm going to be getting more copies of this here. You know, I will have them at my office at the town hall, and I left some out on the table. I did some pass out here. So if any of you people don't have a copy, please just come forward after the meeting here and what have you, and I'll make sure when I do get them, I will get them to you. At this time here, do you have anything else, Josh?
I think we have presentation.
Okay. Mary? I'd like to say thank you very much to Mary because Mary is there for the veterans. We have a veterans brunch here and what have you. And it's an opportunity that on Veterans Day we can say thank you very much to Mary also in honoring the veterans. Josh, at this time? Presentation was fine.
Okay. Should I,
There you go.
Mary, I want to thank you for, all the work you do and for hosting this event and all the other things you do throughout the year. And I'll present this flag here on Flag Day to commemorate that hard work. So
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I don't want you to be blocked by the flag. You're standing.
Well, that's quite all right.
No, I know.
Right,
She,
yeah, no,
she
no.
never wants a spotlight.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
At this time, I'd like to present to Mary the Senior Center here, the POW flag from the veterans of Hanson. Mary, to be flown on the flagpole outside. Before we close the ceremony, we're going to have a closing prayer from the chaplain of American Legion Post 226, Ernie Jutras. Ernie, closing prayer.
I really appreciate the time we had. And the meal was excellent, and I hope to see you again.
At this time here, we're going to be led singing God Bless America, which is appropriate for the day by Lorraine Latrini.